SoCalQOL. Welcome to our Sunday podcast. Super humbled and encouraged by yet another week of wellness and increasing our quality of life. So I hope you have as well. And we are going to pick up where we left off last week. We were essentially going over the whole entire definition of spiritual wellness, what it means on multiple levels, how you can think of it in your own life. And now we're going to round it out, kind of finish it up. And I'm excited to announce some other stuff later at the end of it. But yeah, let's just jump right in. You guys know we use the article from the ucdavis.edu website. Essentially, it's their wellness services section under the student health and counseling services. But yeah, we've got this nice little spiritual wellness little thing that tells us a little bit more about it. So I'm going to hop right in. The section I don't believe we read last week starts with, why is spiritual wellness important? And it says spiritual wellness not only allows you to seek meaning and purpose in human existence, but it also allows you to appreciate your life experiences for what they are. For example, looking at a negative experience and pulling out the positives and understanding that if that didn't happen, you might not be where you are today, or you might not be the person that you are today. When you find meaning in your life experiences, you will be able to develop a harmony with your inner self and the outside world. AKA, you know yourself so well and you're comfortable with who you are that it doesn't matter what happens in the outside world because you're in control of you. And that's really all we can do. We can only control ourselves. We can influence other people by just being in their lives, talking with them, but not by force and not out of guilt or condemnation. So, yeah. In simpler terms, spiritual wellness grants you balance. So that's good. I think we could all agree that we want balance in our lives. We want to be able to take the negative, compute it with, our thoughts, our minds, our souls, and then inevitably make it a positive. And even if you have positives, you can still have more positives. You can basically be grateful and thankful and all that good stuff. But I think that only becomes a problem if you're around other people and they're actually annoyed by you because of how much happiness or good faith or good luck, I should say, you're having. So yeah, so now we are going to go to the next section, next paragraph, I should say. And it says, the route to spiritual wellness, which is actually the title of this podcast. So it says, the route to spiritual wellness is something you must learn to master on your own. I'm going to read that again. The route to spiritual wellness is something you must learn to master on your own. It took me 20 years to sit back and tell myself that no one was going to do work for me. Like, no one was going to do the work for me, AKA all the things that I aspired to, I guess, be, all the career paths I wanted, all the positions that I thought I should have, all just the money in the world that I thought I could attain. No one was going to get all that stuff for me. It all comes down to me. Comes down to me putting in the work, me focusing on how I'm going to get it, and not being afraid to make mistakes. And I think a lot of us sit back and go, "Oh, well, so and so is like my mentor, so they'll help me out and they'll figure it out for me." Or so and so is my boss, but I really look up to them and I think, they're going to look out for me. No. No. That's not how you should think about it. If that does happen, that's awesome. You're one of the lucky ones, but not everyone gets that path. Not everyone is able to literally have their life directed for them, and I guess it takes a certain type of person to get into that situation. And I'm not trying to be negative, but like for example, if you want to be a famous artist, you can definitely do that, but you give away all your control. You let someone else dictate what you're going to sing, how you're going to play, how you're going to market, what your angle is, who you are as an artist, and essentially you become a product. And for a lot of people that doesn't work because it just doesn't. They're not wired that way, and but other people can. So it's like a love hate because a lot of people I'm sure would love to be a Justin Bieber or a Beyonce, but granted, they did put in all the work. They started when they were young. They had either hardworking parents or a hardworking management team from the get go, or they were discovered, all that stuff. But all in all, there was a point probably where they had to make a decision like, oh, I'm just going to let that slide. I'm going to let this slide. And the cool thing, though, in that case is your talent is overflowing to the point where you can kind of make do with what you got. And as you work with different producers, artists, and you become more famous because other people are making you more money and or them more money. Yeah. But obviously we all know that celebrities don't have the best quality of life. They probably have more divorces or breakups than most people do who have a 9 to 5 or who work for themselves or a starving artist. But all to come full circle, life isn't just handed to you. It might be easier for some, either because they started early or they're a little bit more talented, but you're the one who needs to design and figure out what your path should be. And even if you don't get that, you have to be self aware of that. You have to know who you are. So that's what this, essentially this sentence is saying. Spiritual wellness strongly emphasizes the importance of building inner resources and inner thoughts in order to give meaning to experience. Now, where I do have to think really hard about all the things that I've done, all the things that I have chosen to take as far as where my life's going to go, if I'm going to go this way or if I'm going to go that way. And then once you do it, then you kind of realize, okay, well, this didn't work or this did work. And that to me is like an inner resource. It's what you're learning as you're doing it. And then the inner thoughts to me would be, you know, when you repeat certain things or you get yourself in certain situations, that self-awareness needs to come out to where you have to tell yourself this is normal or this isn't normal. And when it is something that you do know, your thoughts can tell you, okay, this is what's going to happen, X, Y, and Z, and then it'll be all right. Or your thoughts will be like, this is foreign territory. We don't know what the hell's going on. So better watch out and make sure that, you know, you watch your anger, your frustration, don't take it out on other people, all that good stuff. That's what I take from the inner resources and thoughts. It is important to know that spiritual wellness does not mandate you to pick up a religious practice. However, religion may be one route you may take to boost your spiritual wellness. I have mixed feelings about that. because there's a lot of religious people that don't have good morals, ethics, and values. I'm not going to name any, but the point is that just because you do find a religion that kind of fits your vibe and who you are as a person and either where you live or the majority religion the major religion of your country or state or your territory doesn't always necessarily mean that you're going to get the things that you're desiring. And because I'm Christian and because I have at least been around the block enough to where I know if I didn't go to church or I didn't read the Bible every single day for the rest of my life, I still have a certain part of the Bible or the church or aka my religion like that's in me. It's like it's my inner it's my inner being, and your spirit has a lot to do with those ethics, morals, and values, and what you learned through your text and what you learned from your church and or community of like-minded people. And I always have to bring this back to like the workplace because to me your workplace can kind of be like your little community. It can be the place that has standards and definitely has a culture to where if you're fucking up, if you're not doing what you should be doing, when you feel convicted or you feel condemned. And the the funny thing about that is, if you work at a church, a lot of times you can feel more of those things, the business minded feelings, than you would the spiritual or religious feelings. Because, a church is a business, not a religion, but like a church, a four-wall building with a staff and human beings that are not perfect and that are going to make mistakes. But that's what's funny about religion is that you can't always depend on it. They're almost like using it as like a guide. So, yes, you should pull from a religion because that's going to give you a big foundation of of the spiritual wellness. But the stupid thing is that other people who believe the same religion might not have the same morals, ethics, and values. They might treat someone completely different than you would treat them, even though you've read in certain tastes or the head of the church, so on and so forth. So, yeah, using the love hate scenario again, it's a you need balance. It's a push and pull, like it's a tug of war. Even if you do find a religion that has a good foundation for you and your spiritual wellness, but I do think that if you don't have at least some framework to apply who you are into a religious faith, there's a lot of things that can fall between the cracks and a lot of situations that you probably didn't have to go through to get to where you are now. Like we said though from the get-go, there's a lot of times where we need to reflect on the negatives because we wouldn't be who we are today if we didn't have them. But at the same time, you don't want to reinvent the wheel every time you do something. Yes, religion is a huge part of most people's lives. So there's no reason to recreate or start from scratch when it comes to your spiritual wellness because there's a lot of places out there that do have a good foundation. So I'm guessing or I'm just trying to caution everyone that just because you pick a religion, just because people who believe that religion are around you and are saying all the right things doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna end up all having the same morals, ethics, and values. Same as you would at a business, or same as you would if you started your own business and you had other people coming to work for you who same scenarios apply. Same kind of people, same faith, same everything. You're gonna have you're gonna have conflict. So you need to have that balance. And that's where those inner resources come in, those inner thoughts. So you got to center yourself, and the your inner world is going to be fine. The outer world can do whatever the hell it wants. But to come full circle again, it's not something you can 100% lean on and depend on, but just know that once you do find that religious belief, once you do find that deity, that savior, that that religion, essentially you, at least, well, I should speak for from experience and from my own perspective, but you can essentially learn everything you need to learn and be good on the religious end, you and God. Once you find that, and once you're at peace with that, and once you believe and follow essentially the commandments or the rules or the do's and don'ts, and that's good, and that's your home base, and you don't have to worry about other people telling you what you should or shouldn't do. And it's a very slippery slope, because a lot of people would disagree with that. A lot of people would say that you have to go to the church, to the temple, to the synagogue. You have to do all these things, and sometimes you need to shelter yourself to keep yourself out of harm's way, or to get yourself in really bad situations, or to not hurt yourself again, to not, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. Oh, sorry. Fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Sorry. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about the religion side. Below are some recommendations for you to practice in order to maintain an optimal level of spiritual wellness. Now, these are very cookie cutter. And if I had rewritten these, I would have loved to say them in my own kind of way. But for the purpose of this podcast and this exercise, really just going through the resources that we have as a community, as a business, and as a podcast. I'd rather just read what it says and then just reflect. So the first one is explore your inner self. Take time to think about who you are. So that sounds very easy, but if you really want to think about who you are, so that sounds very easy, but if you really want, so however you think to yourself in the best way. Some people can sit in silence. Some people need to listen to music. Some people can take a longer shower. Other people can watch TV. So there's ways that you can reflect, or even like walking. Like, I actually have a really good way of processing thoughts when I'm walking, to the point where I could, I could write a whole paper on something if I wanted to, by while I'm walking. As long as I'm walking in a straight line or a circle and there's no cars around, and I know I'm not going to like fall off a cliff. But the point is that you need to explore your inner self. You need to find a way that you can best figure out the way you process your thoughts. And that all starts with probably whatever comes natural to you, or whatever you do more of, or do the most of. So, yeah, if you do sit around, or you do walk, or you do hike, or you take long showers, or whatever time works best for you, whatever time is most peaceful, or whatever makes you feel peaceful. So a lot of people can't listen to like metal music because it's just loud and obnoxious. But when I'm working out, sometimes I need that to just push me through a certain exercise. And that to me is having inner peace. Um, Yeah. But yeah, take time to think about who you are. That's nice, but your inner self is kind of is the more part you need to focus on and how to get there, how to get to that point. Second one is if you experience a life-changing event, take a few minutes to think about what series of events led to this. I'm gonna put my phone down because I really need to like elaborate. So we've all probably had some kind of life event happen to where maybe it's not even in our own family or our significant other or um, hopefully God forbid our kids, but maybe it's something you see. I can't tell you how many times that I'm driving down the freeway with my wife and we see ambulances or we see a car crash or an accident. We immediately go to you know our meditation state, our inner self, and we pray and we talk to God and we just pray a hedge of protection over the situation, the people's families, the people helping, and we want to put out those good vibes. We want to basically do our part, even though it's literally just saying some things out loud. But there's a lot of times where we could brush right by those things. We could actually be thinking more about ourselves, and that sounds backwards, but we could just be thinking about like ourselves and what we want or what we need. Like, oh, now I can't get to my work at normal, or my normal route now because this stupid accident, like going that route, being negative. And so your experiences that are life changing, they don't have to be huge. They don't have to be something that's like, death or cancer or any other illness. It can literally be something as simple as like making you realize that, oh shit, like anything can happen. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, and I need to be grateful for where I am right now. So whatever life changing, maybe life shaking, or whatever gets you out of your normal mind state, because I feel like we're always on autopilot. Like when we're driving, we're always on autopilot. So when there's something that gets you out of that autopilot and you really need to focus, loud noises or accidents, that can be that life shaking moment. And to reflect on it to me is simply just sitting back, even as you're driving by or sitting with your significant other or whatever it is, your family, and just talking it out right there with other people. Unless I'm talking to other people that either care to know, are involved, or I think should hear it. So don't don't disqualify a situation because it doesn't look life changing. Anything could be life changing for you. Me watching a damn podcast was life changing. I mean, come on. Anything can be life changing. A picture, a scene, like in a movie or the scenery. Seeing a sunset or seeing a sunrise or obviously being in nature, but some of us have those like moments where like seeing the Grand Canyon, it's life changing. Like there's nothing like that in the whole, I mean, universe. And and you're seeing it with your own eyes. You're there, you're experiencing it. That's life changing. Doesn't have to be negative, and it doesn't have to be crazy positive either. But I think discussing it with other people who need to talk about it or need to hear it or who have asked to hear it is super important. So apply that to any of the things that you feel are necessary. Number three, spend time meditating or practicing mindful relaxation. So as we talk about, hashtag 365 experiment, essentially my spiritual wellness every day is just praying. Could be a couple minutes, could be an hour if I wanted to. but the idea is that I take the time to to do that and to be, they say, mindful relaxation. I mean, yeah, I'm like massaging my head, I guess, when I do that, when I pray. But yeah, just having it on like your to-do list, or if you are going to do the hashtag 365 experiment, throw that in your spiritual wellness unless there's something else that that you want to do, or do both. Number 4, practice acceptance. I don't remember reading that. And just to define acceptance, the action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. Charges involving the acceptance of bribes, which isn't really positive. An acceptance speech, a draft or bill that is accepted by being signed. So I think what it's saying is, don't be afraid to forgive or be forgiven, and to build relationships with others in a very morally, ethically type of way. And our motto for most everything we do for SoCalQOL is add value to other people. So by accepting someone's opinion, or accepting a difference in opinion, and still acknowledging the person, and still being able to grab a coffee or get a beer, that to me is basically acceptance. It's taking what normally would cause problems and being okay with it, and accepting the fact that you're not everyone's the same, and we're all going to be different, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, honestly guys, we're not in control of shit. If you don't believe in God, that's fine, but you're not in control of anything other than yourself, other than your inner self. And yet, I don't think a lot of people who don't believe in God can accept that. Or if they do, it's like, oh, it just, we go into nothing. It's just black after we die, which is also weird because I think scientifically we've shown that we all do have spirits and we are spiritual beings, and we do have, we have more to offer this world than just skin and bones. So that's my 2 cents. 5, be curious. I like that. If something happens that makes you even the slightest bit curious, take a moment to explore the experience. Like, if you think you know the exact way, you like, almost like your 10 commandments, like you have 10 things that you will never budge on, lighten up a little bit, and kind of reassess sometimes. You know, you can't fight every battle. So let someone else kind of do their thing and try to influence you. Like, even if someone's trying to tell you about their religion, like, let them tell you about their religion. It's not, the worst thing that happens is you just say, I'm sorry, I don't believe that, but you know, I appreciate you talking to me because you seem like a nice person. But yeah, being curious is is very positive. And as long as you, yeah, don't use it to hurt people, or to at least basically like mislead, people, you don't want to do that. But just don't, yeah, don't fake it. If you're really curious, be curious. If you're not, then be upfront about it. uh, but yeah, it can definitely change your mind state, especially because as the years go by, we change as people. As 10 years ago, I would probably have never sat in an empty room by myself talking to a screen into a microphone, because that's not where my morals, ethics, and values were. I didn't value that as something that was worth doing. And ethically and morally, I want to add value to so many people that the best way to do that and communicate that is to document yourself and put it out there so that I don't have to physically have these conversations over and over again. I can literally do it once and someone can just happen to find it, or it gets shared later on social media because there's a little clip of a good line or a good sentence or a good paragraph or a good quote. And so, yeah, stay curious. And the last one, look for a religious faith that you agree with. So we kind of talked about that as just a foundation. If you don't have a framework, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because there's already so many things out there. And if anything, it'll help you find people to communicate with better, and you'll find a community quicker. So, and a culture for sure. And the last little snippet just says spiritual wellness can be slightly complicated to understand and achieve. There are many relaxation and religious resources available. Yeah. So, yeah, to sum it up, I mean, I think it's hard for a lot of people to see past the term spiritual, especially when we're talking about wellness. And I never want to like put something on anybody. I don't want to force anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. And yet, I definitely don't want people to be led astray and eventually blame me for not knowing what I know. So, with that being said, if you are curious about religions and you are curious about the spiritual end of spiritual wellness, talk to others about it. Let us know. DM us. And we'd be more than happy to talk to you about at least what we know. But to me, I always want to focus in on the morals, ethics, and values of spiritual wellness because that's what it leads to. You know, the religious side is like the bait, you know, but the goal is to get the trout. The goal is to get the thing that's actually going to add value to you, or it's going to give you substance, or it's going to feed you. You know, we can package things however we want, but if at the end of the day we're not becoming better people, having better qualities of life, because if I can't find it myself, maybe I do need to create it. It's the one time that I would say, you know, I'm not starting a religion, but it's, you know, it's I see a foundation in many things, many places. There's frameworks here and there, but at the end of the day, I want the whole kit and caboodle. I want the product, and I want the trout. You know, I want the the standards and the culture and the feeling that you get when you're around the kind of people that think the same, work the same, act the same, or at least complement each other the same. And that all comes down to what you believe, how you live your life, the standards that you make and you keep and you live by. And some people don't care about that shit. And that's frustrating because that's probably, I'll say, 49% of the workforce, workplace communities and people and coworkers, and people are just trying to get by. People are trying to just get through their day, make their dollar, go home, wake up, do it again till the weekend, relax for 2 days, then go back. And unfortunately, I'm not wired that way. I would rather not work anywhere, make no money, and have the values that I hold dear to my heart. But we're not trying to force that on anyone, but at the same time, we want to acknowledge the fact that all these things are available. And if they're not readily available, we need to probably try to make them more available, or at least try to find certain individuals that will help make it more readily available, which we hope to do for you. So, once again, spiritual wellness side, we don't want you guys to be so caught up on the faith part, the religious part, but at the same time, if you need direction, you need to know what you believe, because maybe you do have a lot of beliefs, but you can't figure out where it's coming from, and you don't know exactly where to draw from. How to refill your cup. Because you're pouring it out, and then after you run dry, you're like, well, crap, I need to get it back. I don't have any resources. I don't know where to go. I don't know who to talk to. Yeah, and the best thing you can do is ask other people, ask SoCalQOL. But we're definitely going to lean more towards the morals, ethics, and values, because that's essentially who we are as individuals, without buildings, without text, and it's just communicating, talking, body language, and then actions, putting everything that you think into actions. But all right, well, let's wrap this up. Before I forget, I'm super, oh man, I'm super motivated, because I I've read a few books, and throughout reading certain books, I knew that there was going to be a day where I wanted to highlight certain aspects of a book without having to have someone read the whole thing. And the best way to, for me at least, to grasp even like podcasts or a TV show, like I quote like crazy from comedies that I love, The Office, Parks and Rec. It's bananas. And sometimes I have more fun quoting something from a comedy than actually rewatching the episode, because and then communicating with other people who know what the quote's from. So here's what I'm proposing that we try to do for spiritual wellness Sundays is essentially I want to start quoting some good ass books that really hone in on the cultures that I think are for millennials, and I mean even baby boomers. Shoot, I'll tell you right now, the first one we're gonna do is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, and that's gonna be amazing, because I think I've got like 50 to 70 quotes, and we might not go through all of them, but it's going to be a great resource, I think, for other people to receive somehow. I don't know how we're going to do it. I Maybe it's something on our website, maybe it's something which we don't have up yet, or maybe it's through quotes, or on posts of Instagram or social media platforms, or yeah, I don't know, but we'll go through them here, and not every week, but more so, when we don't have specific topics, something doesn't come up during that time of the year or that time of the month or week, or yeah, or if there's a guest that loves a certain book and wants to come and actually, you know, tell their story through what they got from a book that has just an amazing culture behind it, an amazing standard. So I'm excited. If it doesn't start next week, it'll start shortly after that. But get excited. If you feel like reading the book beforehand, it's called Extreme Ownership, and it's amazing. So, yeah, we love y'all. Thank you for anyone who's watched our stream. And if not, enjoy the podcast later in life, and have a great beginning of the week. Hope the last day was amazing, and be safe, have fun, and enjoy Martin Luther King Day.